Vox's Prime came into view several hours later, a planet covered in sprawling, neon-lit megacities, shadowy underworlds, and absolutely no laws whatsoever. As they descended into the atmosphere, Darius couldn't help but stare out the viewport. Okay, I kinda get why past me liked this place. Voxus was alive in a way few places were. Towering buildings stretched into the sky, covered in glowing holographic billboards. Ships zipped between them, weaving through the dense air traffic like an endless, chaotic ballet. Valara maneuvered them toward a less reputable district, a section of the city that looked like it hadn't seen proper maintenance in decades. Rusted landing platforms, flickering streetlights, and an overall vibe of definitely going to get robbed. Darius crossed his arms. So, let me guess, your contact is some kind of black market doctor? Valara smiled. Something like that, Darius sighed. Great, I love dealing with shady criminals. Valara landed the ship and powered it down. You'll be fine, Darius grumbled, but followed her out. They made their way through the crowded streets, dodging vendors selling probably illegal goods, cybernetic street thugs, and at least 3 different people trying to sell guaranteed immortality serums. Finally, they reached a dingy, unmarked building. Valara knocked twice, then stepped back. A slot in the door slid open. 2 glowing mechanical eyes peered out. A gravelly voice spoke. Password? Valara smirked. If I give you the password, do I get a discount? A pause, then, no. Valara sighed. Fine. Nova Eclipse. The door unlocked with a heavy thunk. Inside, the clinic was surprisingly clean. Sleek medical equipment, glowing monitors, and a faint sterile scent. It was a sharp contrast to the outside world. A woman in a long, high-collared coat turned from one of the monitors. She was tall, with silver cybernetic implants running down the sides of her face, and eyes that glowed with an eerie white light. Dr. Leora Vesca. She studied Darius for a long moment. So you finally found him? Valara nodded. Took long enough. Darius cleared his throat. Hello? Dr. Vesca smirked. You don't remember me, do you? Darius blinked. Should I? She chuckled. Number, but you used to owe me a lot of money. Darius groaned. Oh, fantastic. Valara grinned. We're here for something else. Vesca nodded. I know. Sit down. Darius hesitated. This isn't going to hurt, is it? Vesca smirked. Not physically. Darius groaned. That's not comforting. Valara patted his shoulder. You'll be fine. Darius sighed. You keep saying that. As he sat in the examination chair, he had a sinking feeling that this was going to be anything but fine. The problem with memory recovery, Darius quickly realized, was that it felt an awful lot like being punched in the brain by a very enthusiastic robot. Dr. Vesca had barely finished calibrating her equipment before she pressed a cold metallic device against his temple. The device whirred, beeped, then zapped him with something that felt like a cross between static electricity and getting smacked in the head with a frying pan. Darius yelped. Ow, what the hell? Vesca didn't even blink. Good, that means it's working. Darius shot Valara a glare. Define working. Valara, entirely too amused, simply leaned back in her chair. You're not dead. That's a good start. Vesca adjusted the controls on her holo display, completely ignoring Darius's suffering. Your neural pathways have been altered. Zyros didn't just erase your memories. He fragmented them, scattered them in non-sequential clusters. Darius groaned. That sounds bad. Vesca shrugged. It's creative and incredibly illegal, even by Vox's Prime standards. Valara smirked, which means we can assume Zyros has something to hide. Darius rubbed his temples. Fantastic. I love being a walking mystery. Vesca tapped a few more buttons and suddenly, his vision exploded. Not literally, but it felt like it. One moment, he was sitting in a dimly lit clinic, and the next, he was somewhere else. Somewhere cold. The air was thick with frost, his breath curling into mist as he exhaled. He stood in what looked like a massive underground bunker, dimly lit by eerie blue lights. Walls of metal and ice stretched into the darkness, and the distant hum of machinery filled the air. And in the center of the room was him. Or at least another version of him. Darius staggered back. What the? The other him was kneeling, his hands gripping a control panel covered in alien symbols. He was breathing hard, his expression one of pure desperation. And behind him, a figure, Valara, but not this Valara. Her long ears twitched as she stepped toward him, her eyes glowing a deep, unnatural crimson. She was different, colder, more dangerous, and she was bleeding. Deep gashes ran along her arms, her sleek dark armor damaged, her breathing ragged. Darius, his past self, turned to her. We have to do this. It's the only way. Valara clenched her jaw. You don't know that. Past Darius gritted his teeth. We don't have time to argue. Valara stepped closer, grabbing his wrist. Listen to me. If you do this, you won't remember. Past Darius hesitated. I don't care. Valara's grip tightened. I do. And then, a pulse of energy. Everything shattered. Darius snapped back into reality so fast he nearly fell out of the chair. Veska raised an eyebrow. That was dramatic. Darius sucked in a sharp breath, heart hammering. What the hell was that? Valara was staring at him now, her expression unreadable. You saw something? Darius rubbed his face. Not just something. A memory, Veska nodded. Good. That means we're getting somewhere. Darius took a shaky breath. I was in a bunker, somewhere cold. There was a machine, some kind of control panel. And you, he looked at Valara, you were there, but you looked different. And we were arguing. Valara's eyes darkened slightly. About what? Darius hesitated. I think I was about to do something dangerous, something that would wipe my memory. Silence. Then Veska smirked. Well, that's juicy. Darius shot her a look. Oh, so glad you're entertained. Valara exhaled. If that's true, then Zyros didn't just erase your memories. You did. Darius felt a chill crawl up his spine. Why would I do that? Valara didn't answer. Veska, on the other hand, was typing away at her console. There's more buried in there. I can try pulling another fragment, but... Darius held up a hand. Hard pass on another brain punch, thanks. Veska shrugged. Suit yourself. Darius exhaled, leaning forward. So, what now? Valara crossed her arms. Now we find out where that bunker is. Darius raised an eyebrow. And then? Valara's expression was grim. Then we find out why you erased yourself. Darius sighed. Oh yeah, that sounds like a really fun adventure. Valara smirked. You used to love danger. Darius groaned. Seriously, past me needs to stop. Veska chuckled. Well, if you do survive this, try not to forget me again. I hate losing good customers. Darius rolled his eyes. I wasn't a customer. You literally just tortured me. Veska grinned. And I had a great time. Valara stood stretching. Come on, hero. Let's go find a frozen death trap. Darius muttered under his breath as he followed her out. He had the sinking feeling that things were about to get a lot worse before they got better. The ice cracked under Darius's boots as he and Valara stepped into the cavernous bunker. The air was thick with frost, their breath misting as they moved cautiously forward. Towering metal pillars lined the walls, some flickering with dim, failing lights. A vast control panel stretched across the room, its alien symbols pulsing with an eerie blue glow. Darius had been here before. He knew it now. Valara was silent beside him, her crimson eyes scanning the space with something between wariness and sorrow. Darius took a slow breath. All right, time for some answers. You want to tell me why I wiped my own memory? Valara hesitated, then stepped toward the console. Her fingers brushed the surface, and the interface reacted instantly, symbols shifting, pulsing. She turned back to him. This place, she said softly, was a vault. Your vault. Darius blinked. My what? She exhaled, crossing her arms. A storage facility for information, for weapons, for technology so dangerous that no one, not even you, should have access to it. Darius felt a pit form in his stomach. What kind of tech? Valara's gaze darkened. The kind that could wipe out civilizations. Darius whistled. Wow! So past me wasn't just reckless, he was ambitiously reckless. Valara shot him a look. It wasn't about ambition. It was about Zyros. Darius frowned. That bastard again, Valara nodded. He wanted what was in here. And you, she hesitated. You made a choice. She turned back to the console, tapping a few commands. A holographic image flickered to life above the controls. Darius sucked in a sharp breath. It was him, or rather, a past version of him, standing in this very room, looking battered, exhausted, and standing beside him, Valara. She looked just as she had in his fragmented memory. The recording crackled. We don't have much time, past Darius said. His voice was rough, strained. Zyros is coming. If he gets this, if he gets me, the entire galaxy is screwed. Valara in the recording clenched her fists. There has to be another way. There isn't, past Darius said. The only way to keep this from him is to lock it away. Lock me away. Darius felt his throat tighten. I erased myself. To protect the galaxy? Valara gave him a sad smile. It was the only way. Darius exhaled. Okay, but if I was such a self-sacrificing hero, why didn't I just die dramatically instead of pulling a self-imposed amnesia stunt? Valara smirked. Because you were a narcissist and liked the idea of a backup plan. Darius sighed. Sounds about right. The recording continued. Past Darius reached into his coat and pulled out a small, glowing device. Something that looked like a crystal but pulsed with energy. He pressed it against his temple, and a brilliant light flared. Then the recording cut out. Darius ran a hand through his hair. Let me guess. That crystal thing was my brain's self-destruct button? Valara nodded. A neural disruptor. It erased everything that connected you to this vault, to this knowledge. You became just another drifter. Darius groaned. And Zyros still wants me because... Valara crossed her arms. Because if you remember everything, you'll remember how to access the rest of what's in here. Darius exhaled. Right. Of course. Because life just has to be difficult. A new voice cut through the cavern. Oh, don't worry. It's about to get much worse. A deep mechanical hum filled the air. Darius and Valara spun just in time to see the entrance explode inward, shards of ice and metal flying as a towering figure stepped through the smoke. Zyros. The warlord was just as terrifying in person as Darius had imagined. 7 feet tall, his skin a dark obsidian metal sheen. Glowing red cybernetic eyes locked onto them. His armor hummed with energy, his massive arms crackling with built-in plasma weapons. Well, Darius muttered, that's a lot of villain. Valara's hand flew to her weapon. Zyros, the warlord grinned. Valara, you've been very annoying. Darius raised a hand. For what it's worth, I'm also pretty annoyed. Zyros's gaze snapped to him. Ah, the lost man himself. Darius sighed. Yeah, former genius, current confused idiot. What do you want, a reunion hug? Zyros's grin widened. I want what's mine. Darius raised an eyebrow. See, I'm pretty sure this vault doesn't have a property of Zyros sticker on it. Zyros's arm hummed, and a blast of plasma shot toward them. Valara yanked Darius aside just in time, the explosion scorching the ground where they'd been standing. Darius coughed. Okay, he's not here for negotiation. Valara pulled her gun, firing off several quick shots. Zyros deflected them with an energy shield, striding forward like an unstoppable force. Darius's brain raced. They couldn't win this fight head on. They needed... He looked at the console, and an idea hit him. Valara, cover me! She hesitated, then nodded, diving behind cover and laying down suppressing fire. Darius sprinted for the control panel, skidding to a stop as he frantically scanned the interface. His past self had built this place, which meant there had to be a failsafe. There, a flashing emergency override. Darius slammed his hand onto it. A deep rumble shook the vault. Zyros's eyes narrowed. What did you do? Darius grinned. Let's just say I hit the eject button. The walls around them began to shift. Mechanical locks disengaged. The floor trembled. Then, a massive pulse of energy erupted from the console, sending a shockwave across the bunker. Zyros roared as his systems overloaded, sparks flying from his cybernetic limbs. He staggered back, his shield failing, his weapons flickering. Darius grabbed Valara's hand. Time to go. They bolted for the exit as the vault's failsafe activated. The ground beneath Zyros collapsed, sending him plunging into the icy depths below. A final, echoing scream, then silence. Outside, Darius and Valera stumbled onto the snowy plains, breathing hard. The vault's doors sealed behind them, locking its secrets away once more. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Darius turned to Valara. "So? That was dramatic," she chuckled. "You always did have a flair for the absurd." Darius exhaled. "So, what now?" Valara studied him, then smiled. "Now? We live." Darius smirked. "Preferably with less amnesia next time." Valara grinned. "Deal." And together they walked into the unknown, this time with no more secrets between them.